Hey guys, so we're going to be doing another deck guide today. We just covered Dreadshift in Standard with like Citadel, like Dread Presence with Bolus Citadel in Standard, but I think that it performs better overall in Historic. And this was in part for two main reasons. But before we get into that, I'm going to kind of explain what we do with the deck guides. Should have done that first. But basically, I just go over how the deck functions, why I like it, sideboard tech, good and bad matchups, all of that stuff. I try to break it all down. And then I show off some gameplay, of course. So, that being said, let's dig into the list. So, if you guys watched the other video on Dread Presence, the main reason why I stopped playing that in Standard was because the matchup against Tamir Reclamation was just so terrible. And this is, like, I just found out about the bans this morning on Reclamation and Teferi, and I think that this makes the deck a lot more viable in Standard, I would say. I would say that we need a lot more answers in the sideboard. In the Standard version, of course. Like, the Standard version doesn't have Karn. It could, but it doesn't. So I think if we include that stuff and wilts for Lucky Clovers, potentially even main deck, or something in the sideboard that can deal with artifacts and enchantments, so that way we can blow up the Clovers and blow up the extra card advantage that Tamir can kind of get going. And then we can probably keep up with it. In Historic, I think the same thing can be said. Like, we've got Teferi bans, so that takes out, like, you know, some of those annoying control lists. The problem with the bans, and I'll make a YouTube video on like the bans and stuff, so you can hear my opinion exactly on that. I don't want this video to be that, but it's gonna make Flash, Tamir Clover, and a bunch of other like obnoxious lists that Reclamation and Teferi kind of kept in check in a way. It's gonna make those decks make a huge comeback. So, but anyway, that being said, this deck is pretty simple in its game plan. It wants to ramp. So we've got Grazer, Explore, Dryad, Rejuvenator. That's pretty much it for the ramp. And then we have Cavalier, but we don't really need it. This is just sort of a fallback plan. We could probably actually cut Cavalier and add in like a third Karn to guarantee seeing him for the sideboard tech here with like the extra Citadel and whatnot. But I'll have to play around with it. Just doesn't seem like this guy does enough. It doesn't help us against like goblins if they go to run us over, etc. Might even be better to have like 2 like extinction events or something just to kind of slow other lists down potentially, but then we're not really comboing off or getting there, so I don't know. This is the only card that I'm super on the fence about. Everything else like makes a lot of sense to me. Ulamog is... I got blown out by an Ulamog in a mirror matchup with a similar deck, and then I started to try it out, and I like it. Just gives you something big to play with your mana. You don't typically want to use this off of Citadel, but it's funny if you can. And so basically the deck just ramps. We use Dryad instead of Azusa, the one that lets you play 2 additional lands, just because this one converts all of our lands to swamps. For Dread Presence. So that's kind of the combo, is just being able to get card advantage off of playing swamps, any land. Fabled, stuff like Fabled Passage, counts for 2 lands being played, 2 swamps. As it comes in, it's a swamp. As the new land comes in, whatever that land is a swamp, as long as we have Dryad out. Dryad also helps us move an extra land off the top with Citadel and get some extra damage in. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that type of dealio. So pretty much the whole goal of the deck is just to ramp. Golos can also be triggered, like you can use his activation with Dryad of the Grove, because you're able, everything's all basic land types, so you have access to the lands we usually don't. So if you need an extra engine to provide you more card advantage, that also works. So there's just a lot of synergy with the deck in between all of the little min-maxing you can do, like just seeing the synergies and everything. It's very nice. And then of course the 1-of Scape Shift could be a 2-of, but I like it as a 1-of, so like we just pick it up when we need to, and then that can win us the game. There's also like some merit to like Mastermind's acquisition instead of Karn, but I kind of like the Karn because it shuts off artifacts. Like, it's just a nice little bonus, but it is 4 mana, and then we -2 it. It's like, if it sticks around, it can get us 2 cards, as opposed to Mastermind, which is just 1. But Mastermind gives us access to any sideboard card, which is worth considering, I would say. Because it can get us Citadel, it can get us anything. It could get us like another Planeswalker, or a Thought Distortion if we really need it, or an Assassin's Trophy to take our opponent off of Field of the Dead or something. Like, it could get us Escape Shift to win the next turn. Like, that's a consideration, is like Mastermind over Karn. Karn if you're in Standard, Mastermind potentially if you're in Historic. Other than that, like, you just play Citadel, so you just, you know, play Grazers for 1 mana, you play Dryads for 3, you cast extra lands, you cast Rejuvenator, your life gain comes in with Dread Presence, and I've been considering Prime Evil Bounty, I believe it's called, but I haven't crafted it yet. But like, one of these might be really key for the deck, because this gives us 3 life anytime a land enters. So like, when we're playing 2 lands a turn, that's 6 life, allows us to pay for like more explorers, to play more lands, to deal more damage, etc. Like, I would say the main thing about this deck, so like, basically you ramp into a Citadel as best you can, snipe things that you need to with Dread Presence if you're allowed to, try to have Dryad on the field before Citadel hits, but if you don't find it, you might find it off the top anyway, and then you just start playing lands, and always look to make the shot, so to speak. Like, make sure that you're not missing lethal when you go to ping down opponent's creatures. If you're scared, if your life total's a little low, always try to calculate out how many lands that you've played for the turn. Recommend a dice, like a 6-sided dice, or 2, you know, whatever sided dice you're comfortable with, but 6 is the easiest for me. So like, I play my first land for the turn, 1, and then 2, you know, and then that way you know how many lands you are away from killing your opponent. Like, if you can get another Dryad, if this happens, if that happens, you can all calculate it out. And then like, the Escape Shift is like quite a bit of damage. So like, just try to see if you have lethal before you start answering creatures. Like, before you play your first land, try to get that down. Sorry about that, I had to sneeze. So yeah, other than that, like, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I like the deck against a lot of the meta. So in best of 3, goblins are a little less rampant. Like, you don't run into them as much from what I've heard and from what I've experienced. My sample size is low, but they're typically easier to answer in best of 3 than they are best of 1. They are less common there. Now, with the shifts in Reclamation and everything else into Fairy, maybe something else has shifted in Historic that I don't know about at the moment. But I would say against other Field of the Dead decks, we do pretty well, because we can just snipe the opponent's life point total. We don't have to deal with all the 2/2s and whatnot. And we can get Field of the Dead relatively online pretty fast. They also lost Growth Spiral, the big Field of the Dead decks, and Scape Shift, Bant Scape Shift lost its strongest tool, which is Teferi +1 into Scape Shift at the end of your turn. They can no longer threaten you like that, so that's something we don't have to deal with anymore, which is awesome as like an opposing similar list. That's just one of the best things we could ask for. And then I would say like, Kethis got slowed down a lot too, so Bojuka Bog maybe not as necessary, but it's still nice to have as an extra land for Field of the Dead. You'll also notice that we're only running 2 of these, and that's just because like, we don't need Field of the Dead to win. It's just an alternative win con in case we get board wiped. We can still pressure the opponent for the rest of the life total. So they have to constantly answer our board state and our lands potentially. This like diverts their focus. So it's really, really nice. And then if we just get another Citadel down and we can refuel, like, we can do the other 10 damage with Citadel pretty easily. Like, we've got a lot of things to sack, like Rejuvenator, Grazer. You can even sack the Dryad if you need to. Like, you know, there are just lots. And if we have Field of the Dead up, that gives us more than enough to get Citadel rolling, like to crack it to deal the 10. We can probably do that like twice really fast, potentially. Yeah, I'd say Primeval Bounty is a consideration. Thrag Tusk is okay for life gain if we really need the Thrag. I ran like a Sultai version with Thrag Tusk and like Urok for extra procs, like gain 10 life whenever you play Thrag Tusk. I want to explore that again eventually, but for now I'm pretty happy with this variation as the list to lock in for a minute. And the sideboard could use some work. Like, I haven't crafted Languish. I'm I'm pretty like reserved with my wild cards for the most part. I won't spend them unless I absolutely have to. It's a silly habit to have, but I usually try to test with similar cards first and ask myself which one I'd rather have for a minute. So yeah, I'd say like against other Field of the Dead decks, we're slightly favored, especially with the absence of Teferi 3 Scape Shift. Like instant speed scape shift. I'd say goblins were slightly unfavored game one, like really heavily unfavored actually game one, because I don't think we combo fast enough. And then games 2 and 3 we have a better shot. I'd probably say like 50% ish, like maybe slightly favored in the goblins' favor still, which is rough, but I don't think that matchup is too common. And then what else is there in historic? Reclamation's gone. See, I don't play the format enough to really analyze the matchups too much. Like I just started to dip back into it. I was in standard for so long trying to make something work. And it just wasn't for me, so I came back to historic for a bit of a break and enjoyed this list. Against like Grixis piles or just control in general, we do okay. We typically have a lot of threats to continue slamming, so and then eventually we can sideboard the thought distortions for stuff like counterspell decks. I would say Flash, like mono blue tempo, is really terrible for us just because, like, yeah, we have Field of the Dead, but they can fly over us and do a bunch of damage even with access to grazers and stuff. We stop their early game draw, but sometimes they can bounce this or do something with it anyway. Like, they just interrupt it. They can boost their creature up to the point where this dies after blocking. So it's just a bit tough, I would say. Any type of flash or counter heavy deck that isn't super punished by distortion, like you go to thought distort a mono blue deck and then realize that you died on like turn 5, you know, it doesn't really work. But thought distortion against something like Dant Ramp or something else where we can cast it off of Citadel for 6 life if we're allowed to keep this, it's pretty good. I would say like maybe Remorses too on the sideboard if we're really struggling against control is what I would change. This is for other Field of the Dead decks / control where we just need a 2-mana answer to anything very quickly, and it's cheap to cast off of Citadel, which is nice. It keeps the deck rolling. So I wish that we could hit our own stuff with this so we could shuffle and get another land for Dread Presence, but sadly it doesn't work like that. And we also have a split sideboard because of the Karn, which is a little awkward, but I feel like we still have enough tools to warrant it. It might be better to drop the artifacts though, and go more like better black and green cards, potentially, with Masterminds instead. We already talked about that a bit, but yeah, I would say like it has a pretty good matchup against a lot of decks, though. Like, it just feels nice to play. Anything that I'm missing? I don't think so. I had a lot of the graveyard hate for Kethis. I'm not sure how popular that's going to be, but I think Reanimator's probably going to be on the upswing anyway, so it's probably safe to keep some tools for that. Maybe even have more, because without, like, we just get more options without Reclamation punishing us or Teferi 3-head from stopping counter spells. Like, there's going to be a lot more decks splashing, like maybe white blue. Like, if they already have blue, they splash white for veto, and vice versa. If they already have white, they might splash blue. Like, blue white flyers are probably going to be pretty good. So that being said, let's jump into the gameplay. Like, we're leaving the Ratchet Bomb on the sideboard so we can maybe get some other value off of it, like being able to -2 for Karn to grab it as opposed to not having enough Karn targets in the sideboard to make use of it. Okay. I don't know if that's still borked or not. It looks like it's borked. I'm gonna mull that hand. This is a little bit better. Probably just put back Fabled, I guess. The Field of the Dead first. Because we don't have to cast spirals, so. Body erasure me, daddy? Always. Archimus always has it, dude. Man of the body erasure. And thanks for the follow, dude. I appreciate it. Not that card. This one. Wait. Oh, I need green. Oh my god. Could I be more of a potato? I was scared to play this because of the counter spell. Thought erasure me. You want to look at the spice? That's not looking at my spice. Let's go into the kitchen for your own spice. The secret ingredient too, because they can get anything they want. Okay. Oh no, man. No, they're gonna say Citadel probably, right? At least they get a 2-2. Field of the Dead. Oh, go for it, man. I only have one of those. That was a mistake. Some F's in chat for... the Markimus here. Woo! We kind of nutted a bit, man. To be honest with you. Oh! Markimus has removed me from their friends list. That was us getting the spice, though, man. That was like perfect draws by us. That was tough. Yeah, GG's, man. If you had hit Citadel with that Necro, I think you would have had a chance for sure with that. Like, cause that's how I combo off. Even though I can get the Citadel from the sideboard. Because I already have one Field of the Dead and that's all I need. It was just tough because I kept pressuring the board as well, so it wasn't giving you time to set up for like Narset or anything else. Alright. Only 2 field? Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's a bonus basically for the deck. It's not based off of field, it just has field as an alternative win con to put out damage or to recover from board wipes. Sort of, borrowing the idea from Jeff Hoogland's list. I haven't actually taken a look at his list directly, but he only runs 1 Field of the Dead, I believe, and more Scape Shift, potentially. I have no clue what I'm up against here. But we'll have to see. Land isn't terrible, but it's already one that I have. Oh, 3 Narsets reversals, Jesus. That's rough. The Jukabog might be important later on down the road, but we'll see. Like, I can Grazer and then put out the Forest. I want to do the Forest because the Swamp could potentially proc Dreadhorde. Or not Dreadhorde, Dread Presence. I want to hold back on that if I can. Discovery. Alright, sounds good, Markimus. Thank you for the games, man. I will see you soon, dude. Appreciate you being here. Drink is strong. We'll go Rejuvenator. And Gotha Triumph is pretty good, especially since we already have the Woodland here. We swing with the Grazer. We be ramping. Don't play Thought Erasure. If you play Thought Erasure, reacted. It's over. For me. I pretty much lose if you don't do it. You just got a network error? Okay. That's okay, I will wait for you. But it's on my turn. It's not my turn anymore, so you should reset your client before you get borked. Yeah. I think you might get borked though. Whenever you get a network area, you can pretty much just reset. What I would say. Like always reset just to be safe. So it's like in the process of being your turn again quicker. I wish I could pause it for you. That would be cool. If like there's a way to pause it in a direct challenge. Actually, I don't think there's a time limit here for the most part. If it's not tournament rules. So that's actually really good.
You can't stop chasing your dream just because somebody in your life won't chase it with you. You can't stop believing in yourself just because somebody in your life won't believe in you. You can't stop chasing the dreams of your life.
Could play around lofty denial, I guess. Probably just gets countered. If it's lofty denial, I'm going to be really fucking sad because I could have played around it by playing a swamp instead of playing for Field of the Dead. Okay. Accept this. This is 7. And then I can just hold that land. That way I can have a 2/2 to pressure a Planeswalker in case they board wipe here. Like Extinction Event for Odd is still pretty good. This is like perfect hand almost, aside from like needing an engine like Bolus in my hand to follow up with. What I would say. Okay, Narset's fine. We can smack her down. He gets maybe a board wipe to help catch them up a little bit. The Devil, that's not good enough. You can blow up, what's his face, Golos. Got Pilgrim here, but cannot do much else than that. I'll go ahead and crack this just so we have... we need a swamp. That will give us another land for Field of the Dead that replaces the old one. And there's the Citadel. So basically just perfect, not draw territory. They do have Bedevil though, so that's kind of unfortunate, but we can probably just cash in on enough value here. Make it so they have to board wipe instead. Do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have lethal. Ooh. That was some big damage. Oof. So the thing is, like, I didn't really get to know what their deck is about. So it's actually a good first match for them by not revealing a lot of information about their deck in some ways. Like, that is good. It's a good side of their deck that they're not revealing a lot yet. Like, I'm getting old Grixis Grixis Fire's feels from them. Like, they might have some more stuff to deal with what I want to do. But I still think I bring in the Thought Distortions. Probably just cut the Kavas, even though I really like them. Just cut the Grazers for something better. I don't know what's better though. Like Rejuvenator, I guess, but not having the turn 1 play, man, is super beta. I don't want to do that. don't think. But this makes sense, like, logistically. If they bring in Thieves, I'm just done, though. And all Grixis player, like, including myself, all Grixis players love Thief of Sanity, so I don't know why I'm doing it. This hand's terrible against Thought Erasure. Doing this just in case of Unmoored Ego and such. Oh yeah. Kept it. Duke Nukem over here with balls of steel, you know. Golos is fine, I guess. A little slow, but it's better than another land. So now I can keep open Assassin's Trophy for a Walker or something, or Bolus, or I can cycle this land for 3. The problem is, like, I'm ruining Field of the Dead by doing this in some aspects. I'm pushing myself away from having the correct lands for that to work. They don't have a counter spell, at least. I can go like that and Woodland and draw at the end of my turn if I want to. Okay. Or keep open Assassin's Trophy. They're just jammed up on 4 lands, which feels terrible. Bolus. What's up, Thrum? How you doing, man? Basic Swamp can still help us proc Fabled. I think we actually get rid of the Scryland. Will be 7. Still play my land for the turn, though. Get to exile their graveyard, which means that they can't like reincarnate that somehow or get search rolling very fast. I've been doing really well. And what's up, Stacy? Hey. We're just trying to make Dread Presence Field of the Dead work a bit in Historic. Kind of playing against viewers and chilling out. Don't ruin my Golos, man. He's my only Golos, dude. Don't do it. Don't bedevil that. Oh, I see. So -3 on Golos, probably. Alright, I can't proc Golos, so they're just sacrificing their Golos for... I'm not gonna try to do both. We'll play Fabled, which gives us 2 dudes, and then 2 dudes end of turn to pressure. And we can also draw with Castle Lochwain. Eliminate? Sure. You got it, boss. So that Eliminate doesn't hit one of our engines, like Dryad, for example. And we're still pressuring a lot of damage here. Making it so that, like, Citadel can just end the game. So Evens gets rid of all of the tokens. We just crack this open. Or a Swamp. Historic deck. Probably just Goblins right now. Goblins are pretty okay. Oh yeah. There it is. This guy is a boss. What? Wait, what happened? That was so weird. I should have been able to cast that. So that's for evens. Don't have Bedevil for this. Sure, we're not friends anymore. Don't do it. Do they have Tail's End again? No way. They're not teching that many Tail's Ends against me. I guess it would make a lot of sense with the Citadel, though. Oh, I see. Give me just a second. I'll be back. But Goblins is kind of cheap, and it's good in best of one just to chill out with. It's very, very decent. It's like a couple of rares, I think, and maybe uncommons. Craft it up. Appreciate you guys chilling out and just relaxing with me. Enjoying a bit of a drink there. Tail's End, okay, resolved. Okay, and we'll hold up the Assassin's Trophy or whatever they want to play on their turn. If they have another Extinction event, we're very sad. Okay. Yeah, you gotta do something about that field, man. Rough. Nothing. Oof.
That feels good.
Oof. Too much pressure, dude. That and I had the nut draw. Like, did you see how greedy my hand was when you thought erased it? Alright, so hopefully that gave you guys kind of an insight on what the top end can look like when we get our combo off, so to speak, when we have the nuts, if you will. So I enjoyed playing this list a lot. I mainly tested it against viewers yesterday, and I plan to take it maybe on the historic ladder if another deck doesn't like pull my attention right away. So I'll keep you guys posted on how it does. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you. If you guys have, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's going to be an end panel here pretty shortly, so the subscriptions there really help the stream. You just click on my dumb face, and it helps me out a lot. And then there'll also be a recent video where you can check out some more content and such as well. I try to put out a video out each and every day, usually around 2 p.m. CST, Central Standard Time. Been doing that for almost 3 months, so I will, that being said, I'll catch you guys for the next video, and thanks for checking out this one.